What's your stance on this grind culture that exists?
Um, I have some issues with it. So my line of research is stress and burnout. In particular, burnout is this kind of emotional exhaustion and cynicism and kind of feeling like you're not really achieving anything, and it's really really damaging.
So it's more in the emotional capacity rather than maybe the physical symptoms?
So it's both really. So like physical and mental exhaustion is one of the kind of characteristics, but it's more than just being really tired. It's like when you get to the point where you just can't even make a simple decision because you're just so kind of mentally exhausted. Um, and like I say, this cynicism towards what you're doing, and this feeling like no matter how much work or effort you're putting, you're just not really getting anywhere. And there's loads of like really pretty dire consequences to burnout. So our sleep is affected, our health is affected, our relationships are affected, and like part of what, but it's a response to chronic stress. But part of what is driving this kind of burnout epidemic that we're right in the middle of, like, is this grind culture. And it's it's this idea, and again, it's the sort of internet dude bros, right? You have to be working 25 hours a day, 8 days a week, never taking a break, never taking a day off. And again, it's all just about the accumulation of wealth and power and being better than other people, right? So you have to be in the gym at 4 o'clock in the morning and write your journal and eat your chia seeds for breakfast and like all this stuff. Meditate. There's nothing wrong with any of those things individually, right? But when you add it all together and this message that we should be doing all of these things, we have to be doing all of these things to be better than the next person, like all that's doing is just driving us towards burnout. So I have massive issues with this grind culture. I think it's absolute nonsense. But again, it's pervasive. And maybe it's just because my Instagram algorithm is completely screwed up now, but my feed is just nonstop grind culture, dude bros, tech bros, sales bros, just talking absolute nonsense, and
Mate,
again, just driving people towards burnout.
maybe you're in it.
Maybe, yeah,
Maybe you're a part of the problem. Oh, I'm joking. The it's interesting because I can't deny that I have felt that need to want to grind, to want to work away. But there's even linked in with the health and well-being, and say your Andrew Hubermans of the world, who really do send he sends a lot of science out there, and where we can talk about whether they're the right people or not. But my thinking is that you do come across now these people in the grind culture world where they think that all of the CEOs or even the athletes, let's just put it into sport, I think all of those people there have got this 7-step morning routine that then unlocks this perfect performance that allows them to be the high achiever. And I wrote about this saying it's not optimization that you should be looking for, it's maximization. And maximization is a broad thing. It is when you step into a high performing environment, it will shock a lot of people as to the level or the lack of high performance that's in there. But those people have an incredible ability of maximizing whatever they have on the day. And I spoke to Andrew Steele, former Olympian, on the podcast about this, and he's built businesses. He is someone who has been sort of outwardly successful when you look at a metric of business, but he was also an Olympian. And we were talking about this crossover of what business and sport can, what you can have. And he said most people, athletes, will go and talk to businesses and say, oh, well, you have to have this routine and these habits, and that's what unlock it. And I said, well, actually, I think one of the biggest things is an athlete's capacity to perform, but when you're not 100%, when you're not like firing on all cylinders, you haven't had your 20-minute meditation practice in the morning, and you haven't journaled for an hour, or all of that hasn't happened, yet you can still perform. And I think that's where we get caught up in that. Oh my God, if I miss my 7-step routine today, like I'm no longer at that level that everyone else is at, who are grinding away. And if I take my foot off the gas at any moment, then the dreams and hopes and successes that I wish for myself are just gone.
yeah. There's a famous sports psychologist, Ken Ravizza, You said, and I'm paraphrasing here, like, what kind of shitty athlete are you if you can only perform when everything is perfect, all the conditions are perfect? Which kind of sums up exactly what you were saying. But the other thing, like, to think about here is survivorship bias. And, this is the idea that we can look at these like high performers, high achievers, and they're doing this thing and this thing and this thing. They're getting up at 5 in the morning or 3 in the morning or whatever it is. They're doing this, they're doing that, they're journal, right? But how many other people are also doing that who haven't achieved anything through luck or opportunity, right? And again, you can kind of use the sport as a parallel here. Look at the highest performing athletes and all of the things that they're doing. Well, I can give you 1,000 other people who've done exactly the same things. And just through, again, luck, or maybe not having a parent who is willing to drive them 3 hours to practice every day, or not having the money to be able to afford the equipment, or not being at the best school, right? Through just all of those random reasons, haven't achieved. So we have to ask ourselves, is it this magical 7-step routine that you have to do every morning that's actually led to your success? Or is it a combination of like a million different things, including just innate talent, right? It's we kind of put these routines and these, oh, you have to do this, this, and this will guarantee you success. It's not true, right? It will help, but it's not the thing that's actually getting these people to being, high performers or elite level. So we have to kind of think about that as well.
Yeah, you end up holding yourself prisoner to a lot of those sort of self-inflicted demands that you end up putting on yourself. And I've fallen short of that. I've always felt that even if it's, say, like a meditation practice, being mindful and opening my door of mindfulness in my life has been probably one of the most transformative things I could have ever done. But the thing I held on to for a while was the only way in for me to unlock that mindfulness was to be on the mat, on the blocks for X amount of time, and that would be the thing that did it, rather than going, okay, well, I remember someone telling me, saying, okay, so if you, and this was not what I was doing, but it was an example, was, okay, if you've got to have a meditation practice at 6 a.m. every morning, what happens if your mum calls you and says, we need picking up, or we've had a flight cancelled, we need picking up from the airport, can you help us out? Do you tell your mum, no, I've got to sit on the mat for half an hour, or do you go and help your mum out? Right? And it then opened the door for me, and I'd spoken to Dr. Gordon Flett on the show, who's a big researcher in perfectionism, and we'd spoken about the rigid perfectionists. And I think a lot of people fall into that bracket where you can only do something a certain way and it has to be done a certain way in order for you to then feel good about yourself to unlock whatever outcome it is that you're looking for. But then if you can see yourself as adaptable, if you can see yourself as someone who strives for high standards, but you're adaptable in that process, that can change a lot of things. So for me, if I miss a meditation practice, don't beat myself up. When I go on for a walk, turn my music off, bring in the sounds, the surroundings, be mindful of that. What difference is there between sitting on the mat and doing that mindful experience? There's none. It's just this idea that we have created that it must be done a certain way in order for whatever that outcome is that you're looking for, high performance or wellness or well-being and good mental health. It has to be done that way in order to get there. If you enjoyed that clip, then you might enjoy the full episode with Pete. And to do that, all you have to do is click right here. Go on, off you go.